All right.
You want to do the intro or you want me?
I'll do it.
Okay.
All right. I'm doing the intro today because I don't talk enough, Chris said. Anyhow, welcome to an episode from ISTE 2016 where we have in front of us this fabulous creature who's going to tell us all about...
Mythical creature.
Yes. Well, how did you describe her?
Ann is my spirit animal.
Yes, Ann.
So true.
Ann
Kozma.
Oh, thank goodness I pronounced it right. Ann Kozma. She's going to tell us all about Sketchnote.
Yes.
And how it can help students and teachers make and visualize their meaning.
Absolutely.
So take it from there, Ann.
Yeah, what do you got, spirit
Oh
animal?
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, pressure's on now.
Yeah.
So, thank you for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here and talk sketchnoting with you all. I'm new at sketchnoting. Think of visual note-taking.
Yep.
Think of back in the day when kids in class were doodling on papers
Yes.
to try and remember what was being given in a lecture as a way to make meaning. Right? Oftentimes back in the day, people got in trouble for that.
Yep.
Did you get in trouble for doodling?
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't remember getting in trouble for doodling, but I know I doodle. So
Maybe diddling. Let's not go there.
Now, if you use up all your bathroom passes early in the semester,
Yeah. Okay.
there may be some diddling.
We didn't tell you we were going to be silly.
I
did
like
we?
it. I like it. It makes
Okay.
me
I
feel
think she
at
knew.
home. Yeah, I know.
Good.
So sketchnoting is just a way for people to capture visually their learning process. And I got really inspired this past year via social media watching people like Sylvia Duckworth share her own professional learning via sketchnotes. And I was like, there's something to this. So I started using a lot of sketchnotes in the professional development that I give in Fullerton, California. And I use the sketchnotes to share ideas, big ideas, concepts as ways to help people think about a shifted perspective, if you will.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have a lot of teachers now who are starting to use sketchnoting in their classroom. And I love it because it supports students who have different learning modalities. I'm a visual learner. I know that about myself. I love pictures. I love taking photographs.
Chris is a visual learner.
Yes,
He works really
totally.
well on picture books. Picture
Yeah.
books he likes better than the words.
Yeah.
Pictures.
So this is just a way to capture that
Yeah.
visually.
Right.
Yeah.
So do the students do it in the classroom more than the teachers, or they both kind of do it, or?
Well, I would say both.
Okay.
And we're just really getting started with it in Fullerton. At my previous school where I was a classroom teacher, we had teachers do a lot of sketchnoting with their students. And kids would use like the Explain Everything app to create things. But this past week, before ISTE, we were doing a lot of professional development in Fullerton for our iPersonalize program, and we actually were talking about growth mindset and using Sylvia Duckworth's sketchnotes about growth mindset, and went through 3 or 4 of them, and then challenged our teachers to create their own sketchnote. And it was the first time a lot of teachers had ever created something like that, and it was such a growthful process for a lot of people, and I think they made the connection that, oh my gosh, this was really meaningful for me. I know it will be for my students as well. So I'm predicting a big beginning, if you will, a big beginning of sketchnoting in Fullerton, California. I hope.
Well, but students are going to have the devices, though.
Yes.
They're going to have an
But
iPad
with the
or
one-to-one
something.
devices and the big push to one-to-one, it's another way that you can have them make meaning to something. You brought one for us. Will you show this to us? Talk us through this.
Okay, so
What are we looking at here?
this is the 3rd ever sketchnote that I've created.
I am
Really?
so impressed.
Well, and it's kind of, I'm super excited to show it to you because I would never describe myself as an artist, but I feel like I am very creative, and I just began to put down my thoughts in pictures. So I started, of course, with a hashtag so that I can always go back to the event that I was sketching about. And we have this iPersonalize program in Fullerton, which is a blended, experiential, quest-based, gamified learning platform that we have. And we were talking a lot about how schools in the past, if you will, in the industrial age don't measure up to what we need in the information age with our kids. So I look at all the things that are in here. Schools were built for a different time, but who are our students now? And so Gen Z and the schema that they're pulling from, things like YouTube and games and Snapchat and social media, they are media consumers.
Can I jump in here?
Yes, please.
You pulled so much context from a couple of simple pictures.
Yes.
So what they're doing is these pictograms of sort are bringing back rich memory and rich explanation that far surpass the words that are on this screen.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. I think that's the really important thing to point out.
I think that's the significant thing about sketchnoting is that the physical act of drawing, I believe, I've not done a ton of research on this, I'm only just starting to kind of get into the brain science behind it, but the physical act of drawing or writing is making these cognitive connections that allow for a deeper retention of memory, and so these images to me spark a ton of memories. And it helps me remember, what did I hear? What are the connections I made to it? And it just deepens my learning
just like
experience.
you have the little one-room schoolhouse, and then you go to a factory, and then look at there's today's school that looks like a factory, kind of.
Well, and the cool thing is those sketch notes were actually shared by Dr. Chris Haskell in some training, but I remember sitting there listening and talking. It's the one school, or the one-room schoolhouse. You know, the schoolhouse for the industrial age, and what are our schools today, and are they sufficient for what our kids need in a modern schooling experience? So for me, it's just provided a way to collect memories. It's an easy way to come back to my learning.
Yeah.
And so just a visual cue sparks so much.
Very, very cool. Well, and so in the description below, we've got lots of details about how you can connect with this and other types of apps to make meaning. But I love here what we've got is an authentic example. This is your own personal learning that you dedicated and placed on a thing and continued adding to it. How long did it take you to build this?
So I sort of worked on this for a few days, and I came back to it after about a 4 or 5 day break. And I kind of circled back to a few thoughts. We've been talking a lot about equality versus equity and what do our students need and universal design for learning. But our goal through this iPersonalized program is to defeat ignorance and indifference and activate agency in our students so they see themselves as something bigger than a school experience where they can actually change their learning community or where they live or the world beyond. So I took a break from it because I had just done 15 days straight of intense professional development.
Yes.
And I took a brain break.
I can't imagine why you'd want to do that.
Brain break. And
brain
I
break
would say
necessary.
total, it took me about 4 days. But ideally...
Just a little time here and there. I mean...
Exactly. A little time here and there. And I do use some tricks, if you will. Like Lisa Highfield, Kelly Hilton, Sarah Landis just released that HyperDoc handbook. So I couldn't freehand draw that. So I actually layered a picture underneath it and sketched over it.
And then erased the picture.
And then erased the picture
I need
underneath.
to.
really cool.
I need to read that. The HyperDoc handbook.
Yes, and I would love to do an episode with you on that if you.
that would be awesome.
Yeah, future episodes. But like the Super Mario, that was a mix of pictures and just freehand drawing. But
cool.
Ideally, you could do this in a 30-minute sitting. You could do it in a 5-minute sitting, depending on how complex or how simple you want your sketch note to be.
This could be a great way for students to really express their understanding of anything.
Almost as an infographic,
Exactly.
but with a personal slant.
I mean, and plus it can also teach elements of graphic and design, and I mean, it could be a huge unit in a class.
Absolutely.
Really, sketch notes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is really, really
I'm happy to be able to share something I'm starting to...
So, if people want to get a hold of you, where can they stalk you?
So, I am Ann Kozma 723 on Twitter. I love to share and connect. Right down here. And I use the hashtag FSDTech when I share about what I'm doing in Fullerton School District Tech. So you can find me on Twitter. Sharing is caring. We're better together.
That's awesome.
Sounds great.
Thank you for
Thanks, Ann.
joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Bye.